First, we will meet the Spokane County Assessor candidates. They are Leonard Christian, Republican, and Tom Konis, Republican. You will each have 60 seconds for our questions. Our first question goes to Mr. Christian. What characteristics and experience do you have that make you the best qualified person for this position?
Well, thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us and hosting this here. It's an honor to be here again before you. I'm Leonard Christian, and I believe what makes me uniquely qualified is I joined the Air Force right after high school, a few weeks after high school, and I stayed there and learned a lot of leadership skills, how to get the job done skills. And then afterwards, I moved immediately back to Spokane, where I became a realtor and worked helping families find a home and get into homes and achieve their dreams. From there, I went in and got involved in a lot of community effort where I helped at food banks, volunteer teach at some of the local colleges here. And with that, I finished my degree and went on to get my master's degree. So not only do I know the home values in Spokane, but I know how to actually run a budget, as I did when I was in Olympia. I worked on the budgets, the general and the other budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Konis, what are your characteristics and experience that qualify you for this job?
Yes, again, thank you for having us here today and giving us this opportunity. I have worked in the assessor's office for just short of 25 years now. I started in 1993 as a residential appraiser and now am the commercial industrial appraiser for Spokane County. I have the knowledge of the office and the experience in the office to be effective from day one. I know about all of the different components because we don't just value houses, we value commercial property, we value business personal property, we do segregations, we manage the exemptions program, we also calculate the levies that the taxes are based on. There's a multitude of over 300 laws and statutes that dictate what our office can and cannot do. I have a pretty good knowledge of those things.
Okay, thank you. Now to expand on this a little bit, would you tell us why do you want this job? So, Mr. Konis, we'll start with you, 60 seconds.
I'm really not sure. When Vicki Horton, the current assessor who is stepping down, came to me and talked to me about running, I was very apprehensive. I have never been a politician. I have no desire to be one. I truly, at this point, strictly just want to be the assessor of Spokane County.
Okay. Mr. Christian, why do you want this job?
Well, good question. For myself, my life has been about public service, whether through the Air Force or through volunteer work, but it's always been about public service. And so when I was asked if I would consider this position, there was just no doubt in my mind. It was perfectly in line with my background, what I've learned over my life, and how to take care of budgets and people and see people instead of addresses on the front of the home. And so for myself, this was just the perfect opportunity. So when I asked my wife, she said, of course, this is just an excellent fit for you. Why don't you go ahead and go for it? So. Okay.
So with looking at why you want to do this, we'll start with you, Mr. Christian, as to what do you see is the assessor's most important duty?
Well, the most important duty is to have fair and accurate tax assessments on homes so that the voters are not paying too much. And currently I serve on the Board of Equalization, which is where if you have a concern about your property value, that ends up coming before the Board of Equalization to make a determination on. And Spokane has the second highest number in the state of appeals. Well, an appeal is an indication, in my opinion, of people not trusting the assessment of their property. I'm really going to work towards that to get that number down and then treat people with respect when they call or come to the office. They want to be treated that way. We have a job to do. I get that. But at the same token, you need to do it with compassion and with an open ear. They have concerns about their property. We need to be listening to see if we can solve that. If not, I think once they've been heard, a lot of folks just want to be heard and then understood. And I'd like to bring that to the office.
Okay, thank you. And I must own up to my mistake so that you get the name right. It's Mr. Konis. My apologies to you.
You're not the first to mispronounce it.
So my apologies. So you get a chance to talk about what you see as the assessor's most important duty.
We are charged by the Department of Revenue to place all properties fair market value at 100% of fair market value. We right now are running at about a 97% ratio. Pretty doggone good. All of our statistics as tracked by the Department of Revenue, we're ranked near the top in the state. We do have a lot of appeals. We have a tax firm that has appealed a number of properties. We had 1,098 appeals this year, of which the Board of Equalization has only overturned us on 9. 74% of those appeals were settled with the taxpayer before we ever went to the hearing. We have a fantastic staff. They're working really, really hard for the people of Spokane County.
Okay, thank you. So since neither one of you is an incumbent in this race, are there changes you would like to implement in the office should you be elected? And we'll start with Mr. Konis, 60 seconds.
Absolutely. I've worked for 4 different assessors so far. I know what works and what doesn't. We have a technology issue right now that we need to deal with. Our mass appraisal software has limited us in what we can do out in the field where we're out visiting properties. There is a beta test going on right now of a tablet that may work for us here in the county, where we could do all of our work right out in the field. We could upload our pictures, we could do our sketches, we could update the characteristics without having to come back into the office and enter those into a manual computer. That's one of the biggest things. Our other real issue right now is our segregation department is running further and further behind just because there's so much development going on. And the segregation is when you have a large tract of property and you want to divide it up into smaller pieces to develop. We need to work on some kind of a way to speed up that process.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Christian, what changes would you see?
Well, I agree with Mr. Konis on the fact that the technology in this office is vastly outdated. They're still running some of their programs on a program that was written by a tech here in Spokane County on Access for such as payroll and such. And there's so many different programs being used in there, from commercial to residential to on and on. And they're not accepting digital plans when a builder brings a plan down to build a house. That has to be printed out and then brought over to the office. There is so much vast improvement that needs to be done in this office. Of course, smart to get it done correctly, but I believe that this technology of still going out and taking a picture with a digital camera and making notes on a clipboard and then coming back to the office is very outdated, and that needs to change right away. And I also think we need to start talking to the other offices about cross-utilizing our people so that we can better use them. They're busy at certain times, and the assessor's office is busy at certain times. We could easily make that happen.
Okay, and you can easily make things happen with the right amount of budget. So now it's the budget question. If you face budget cuts, how will you handle them? Mr. Christian.
Well, as I was watching the current assessor present her budget before the county commissioners, one of the questions was asked that they had provided the funds to do iPads in the field, and she was asked why hasn't it been done yet? Well, the answer was, well, we looked at it, we decided it would save some time but not save any money. Well, the budget's $3.4 million, and over 90% of that is labor. The only place you're going to save money is time, period. That's the only way you're going to affect that office, is to save time. So you're going to have to find ways to do things smarter. I believe a lot of the folks in that office have good ideas. It's going to be important to listen to them, but then it's going to be important to get active and make those changes.
Okay. Mr. Konis.
Yes, again, when I started in the assessor's office, we had 58 employees. Now we have 43. We have been cut about as hard as we could go. But there are, again, with the new technology, we really, really hope, chances to speed up, be more efficient, but also do a better job for the citizens of Spokane County in our field work.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll go for your closing statements. You will each have up to 1 minute, and we will start with you, Mr. Konis.
Thank you again very much for having me here today. Again, I have worked for the assessor's office and served the public for the last 25 years. I've worked under 4 different assessors. The current assessor, Vicki Horton, is endorsing me to take her spot. I also have 100% endorsement from the present employees within the office. as well as numerous business owners and developers throughout town. I have been married to my wife for 40 years. We have 4 daughters and 9 grandchildren. We all live here in Spokane County. We all own homes. We're all taxpayers, the same as you and me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Christian.
Well, thank you again for the League of Women Voters for having us here. To me, it's true. I have not been in this office as an appraiser for 24 years. So when I look at a home, I see not a parcel number, but I see a family that worked hard to achieve the great American dream of home ownership. I believe my experience as a Spokane realtor, the leadership skills I developed while working in the Air Force, and the friendships I developed while serving in the office and as a legislator in Olympia uniquely qualify me to be your next county assessor. The assessor is one of just 6 executive level managers who are directly responsible to the voters of Spokane. They're charged under oath to serve the people of Spokane, much like I did when I entered into the Air Force and became a legislator, or even like I did when I said I do 34 years ago to my lovely bride. People matter, and I'll be an assessor that listens to the people. I'm Leonard Christian, and I ask for your vote in both the primary and the general elections.
Thank you. Thank you to the candidates for Spokane County Assessor. Again, they are Leonard Christian, Republican, and Tom Konis, Republican.